Welcome to Main Street Living. I'm Cheryl Nelson.
I'm Quincy Carr.
And I'm Danielle Alvari.
Hey guys, it's so good to see you. And I know it's been a really tough week for
a lot.
Our hearts are so heavy.
Yeah. I was going to say a lot can happen in a week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You know what? Just with the country being in the turmoil that it is, it's one of those deals where you remember reading about it and now it's going to be a part of history 20 years, maybe 10, 20 years from now that, your children may see in the history books. Like this is in 2020.
It's so unique too, because not only is that happening now, but it's happening during a pandemic. So the images they're going to see in these history books, everybody's wearing masks. And I mean, Quincy, I can't imagine, what it actually feels like for you.
Well, not just me, Cheryl, like the entire country. The entire country has been sick and hurting for a while. And when the world witnessed a horrific reality being played out in real time, murder of another innocent, unarmed Black, and I say American-born citizen at the hands of racist police within a justice system that's set up to intentionally never be in our favor. For myself and for so many others, in this country who look like me, this story is something we all know all too well. And it plays out in a multitude of ways, but there's always one result. Somebody loses their lives, the cops aren't held accountable, they're let go, and they're able to continue doing whatever they do. And but as we also demand for justice and accountability in the name of murder for all four of those former police officers, I would just like to ask you ladies, as well as just all of America, please understand this. What happened to George Floyd symbolizes what Blacks in America have felt for many generations. We can't comfortably breathe due to blatant and systemic racism in this country, which includes multiple levels of unfair treatment, too many to name. And here's a fact. At any given time, our skin color, a Black person's skin color is considered a weapon or even a threat that causes most of white America to feel like they're in some sort of danger. In fact, just yesterday, I'm on another TV show on the YourView network, and me and one of this show's producers, we were out there taping a funny segment that we always do for that show. And it was her, she's white, and it was two other white cameramen. They were standing in this nice neighborhood when I drove up. So they had been standing out there for a while. So of course I drove up, I get out of my car, I greet them, and then what we do as talent, we go back to our trailer, or in my case, I went back to my vehicle and I sat waiting on them to finish the setting up, and then they called me on set. So I had been sitting in my vehicle for about 10 minutes, and they were about 50 or 70 yards away. And this is a real feeling. This is what we go through. I'm sitting, and then I look up, and I know I'm in a nice neighborhood. I know I'm in a neighborhood that I'm not supposed to be in. I put air quotes around that. And I look up, and I actually felt vulnerable. And I was like, where is everybody? Because I don't know how I'm going to explain if somebody comes up to my car and says, what are you doing here? And that, to me, was reality. In the midst of what we deal with now, we have to wear masks over our face, and it's already, when people see our skin color, it's like, oh, something is, what's that and all that. And now you got a mask. Oh, I don't know what you're trying to do. So that was just a natural thought that popped up in my head during that moment. And that was just so surreal. And so with me and the other producer, her name is Melissa, we talked about it, and she was like, yeah, that's crazy. And as we're standing out there, all of a sudden, 2 patrol cars rolled by slowly. And they never stopped, because obviously I'm standing out there with everybody else. But you hear our client, who we were shooting the segment with, said, we've been in this neighborhood many times. We've never seen one cop. And to them, I think it was almost an eye opener. This is the reality that we live every single day. So before we continue, I would at least like to say this. Dear America, okay, this is my Dear America. Dear America, I am a proud son, husband, father, Navy veteran, and protector in this country. I represent beauty, class, power, originality, pure awesomeness, and grace here in this country. I feel successful, driven, encouraged, yet depressed, happy, fearful, pain, pleasure, right here in this country. It's hard to chase your American dream, be unemployed, work. I'm sorry, I lost my earpiece. Be unemployed, work, fight, believe, or even have faith, or even trust you in this country. I just want the same freedom, peace, living condition, opportunity, protection, and privilege you say this land will provide me here in this country. And lastly, America, you're sick with the coronavirus, bad leadership, hate, social injustices, police brutality, racism, and only a small group of insecure people actually thinks you're doing just fine the way you are, a small group. And unfortunately, that's why the medical attention you so desperately need continues to be denied. And I just like to say, we are all praying for you and your healing, dear America. So,
Quincy, your emotion is justified. It's evident. And thank you so much for being so open with us and sharing how you feel. I mean, this is something that's been going on for hundreds and hundreds of years in this country. Mm-hmm. And it just keeps resurfacing. And so people have to realize what's going on. And I'm so glad that you were brave enough to say all that. And, you know, it all comes down to unity. And I know we have some photos of people uniting, and we are starting to see some of that now.
Absolutely. There's evidence that law enforcement, I know that we got a few pictures here, law enforcement are joining protesters because the cause is what people are upset about, police brutality. So just to see them joining and standing with everyone in solidarity just goes to show that there are some people that get it and they empathize with the situation. And those are the ones that's helping to make us better. And we appreciate that.
That's what we need is change. Absolutely.
Sure. Yeah, and Quincy, just to speak on that, I mean, when I hear you even having to say stuff like you're in the neighborhood that you're not supposed to be in, like that just strikes me as like that's the systemic racism right there, and it's just so deeply ingrained, and it's just absolutely insane that you would even have to think there's a place you can't be. So I mean, the fortunate thing right now is that the protest is I think just being very successful, and there's so many resources online for everybody to educate themselves, places for people to donate, and things for people to do. So people can definitely find that information so easily, and information that I want to see and that I think a lot of people would like access to that we didn't even know about. So that information's been just so much more readily available now.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be an ongoing conversation. And thank you again for being so candid with us.
Yeah, thank you, Quinn.
As well. We appreciate it. Well, we're going to switch gears a little bit as we move forward on Main Street Living now. Coming up, remember, it's still the pandemic and seniors are being denied graduation ceremonies. However, a school in Arizona is actually thinking outside the box. Wait till you see what they did to celebrate their seniors. That's coming up.
Welcome back to Main Street Living. Now, this time of year, normally we're seeing caps, gowns, graduation, but not for a lot of students this year. So they're having to come up with creative ways to make graduation still happen.
That's why I'm so excited about this next story, Danielle, about a high school in Arizona. So this next story is from a student's point of view, and you got to see it to believe it. It's a drive-by graduation ceremony. Check it out.
Love it.
Hello, everybody.
Hola.
Hey, you guys here for the Central High School graduation? Keep on moving.
Hi, I'm Daralee Hosbernard, and I'm a class of 2020 graduate. When I was younger, I would not have pictured my graduation being in a parking lot drive-through. Like, who would ever thought that this would happen and we would be in this situation today? Being a 2020 graduate is kind of disappointing because I didn't get to finish my high school experience and everything I wanted to do, like prom, and I wanted to actually walk for graduation. So being trapped in a car waiting for hours is kind of not it, so.
Tell me what you think about coronavirus.
I am actually very excited to graduate still due to the circumstances because a diploma is still a diploma, so whoop whoop. Hey Marvin, hey Brittany. This is kind of fun, not gonna lie. Now going more through it, it's like, wow, cool. It was actually really cool, cooler than I expected. I got to walk with my family. They were right next to my side when I got my diploma, so that's really cool. It wasn't a boring, average graduation. Instead of like clapping and yelling, there's just the horns honking everywhere. That is really cool and unique. So I'm kind of proud of my class and what this was. So cool experience.
Major kudos to that school in Arizona for pulling that off.
Yeah.
What a cool idea.
Yeah, like I remember my graduation, and because I barely finished in enough time to have my name on the list. So the fear of getting my name called or not getting my name called, we were in this major like arena there in Austin, Texas. And when the lady stumbled right before my name, she was about to read the person after me. And she stumbled right before my name. She said, oh, because it was a write-in. It was a Quincy card. I'm like, oh, because I had everybody out to see me. So that is cool.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, you graduated, you're here, and congrats to all the 2020 graduates.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I like that she had like her little lip gloss as well in the car. She was like full ready for graduation. She was ready to go.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, guess what we're graduating to when we come back? Airbnb a baseball stadium. Isn't that right? Can't wait to see what's that's about. Y'all stay with us.
Welcome back to Main Street Living. Now, just a few short months ago, COVID-19 did shut down the sports scene entirely from the top to the bottom. So here to talk to us today a little bit more about that from the Pensacola Blue Wahoos, we have the owner himself, Quint Studer. Quint, thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you, Danielle. It's great to be Main Street Living today.
Oh, isn't it? I know, it's always great to be Main Street Living. So let's jump right into it. COVID-19, how did this personally affect the Blue Wahoos?
Well, like anything, we have annual revenue of $8 million, and it took out $8 million. So it takes out, we have other businesses, but COVID-19 didn't take them down to zero. Where in baseball, all of a sudden your revenue goes to zero. So you have to figure out what are you going to do when your revenue goes down to zero?
Right. So speaking of what are you going to do? You're definitely an example of taking lemons, turning them into lemonade here. So where did the idea come to become America's first Airbnb ballpark?
My daughter has an Airbnb behind her house. It's a little Airbnb. And we were sitting at the kitchen table one day talking about what can we do. And she said, why don't you do an Airbnb in the locker room? So we said, okay, can we? And so she went online and we made sure we could get insurance. And very quickly, I think within a week, we were ready to go get up and running. And so we're very excited about it. Just yesterday, we're in a military town, 10 active military personnel rented the Airbnb, 10 guys. They checked in at 3. They played baseball on the field from 4 to 11, went to bed, wow. Back on the field from 6 to 10. So when you can, for us to have military people that might be deployed come into that Airbnb and have a life more memorable experience makes it all worthwhile.
Absolutely. So how much is the cost per night or how does it work? What can people add on to their experience?
Well, they can add on a lot. In fact, Bubba Watson, when he stayed there, added $800 worth of things. So when you come in, the base price is $1,500, though it can be a little more on weekends and holidays. And then you can do things like dinner, You can do batting practice, or that's pretty much included. But if you want to, we have an ex-major leaguer that'll come throw batting practice to you. You can basically get breakfast. You get your uniforms with your jerseys on it. So you can pretty much, we just have a whole menu of things that you can do at the ballpark, and from bringing in major leaguers, from bringing in pro football players to talk to the kids on motivation, to just about anything you want to do. As long as it's legal, we'll figure out a way for you to do it.
Wow. Airbnb, the first national ballpark Airbnb. What a cool idea, but not the only thing going on at the park. So when we get back, we'll talk more about the other activities they have going on. Welcome back, guys. And now more of the interview from the Pensacola Blue Wahoos owner, Quint Studer. What else is going on at the stadium if you can't rent it out?
Well, we have disc golf. You know, my son-in-law one day said, why don't you do disc golf? And I thought that'd be cool, because I grew up outside of Chicago, and I went to White Sox Park as a kid. And
I was going to say big baseball town.
I'd always try to sneak to the fence and slide my foot onto, just to touch the turf.
Sure,
and I thought, so yeah. we have a disc golf course. You can come play disc golf. Of course, we've had movie night. We had 1,000 people in there the other night for a movie and fireworks. And then we have a restaurant. We turned our concourse into an open air restaurant. So tonight we'll have about 450 people at the stadium for trivia night. So we're trying to really, when we built the stadium, we always felt it was a community asset. And our mission statement of the Wahoos doesn't say to be a great baseball team. It says to improve the quality of life for our community. So we just do everything we can to improve the quality of life for people in our community.
I'm sure that's true. I mean, that can be said for most minor league teams. It's like the cities that they're in, they can say that it's a really big part of their community. So it's great that you guys are keeping that going. Why else is it so important for you guys to keep the stadium open? I know you mentioned the $8 million of losses. Are you having to cut any employees?
We're not. I think we decided not to. You know, my wife and I are fortunate enough. Baseball is not our major income. And it got to the point when we were looking at cutting. Half the people been with us for a long time, and we felt we owed them loyalty. And then the other half are young people. I mean, we got a young guy graduated from Arkansas. This is his first job in baseball. We did not want his first job to start with the layoff. I was a teacher, and if I would have got laid off my first year as a teacher, I don't know if I would have came back. So we sort of didn't want our young employees to lose their passion. So we're going to train them, and we're also going to loan them out to other not-for-profits for the next 4 or 5 months.
Really?
So they can also get a taste of what it's like to work in a food bank, what it's like to work in Big Brothers Big Sisters. So we're really using this as almost a Peace Corps type experience for them.
That's over the top. That's amazing, because not only are you keeping them on staff, but you're giving them more work experience, and especially in the nonprofit sector. So bravo to you, obviously. But, you know, switching back kind of to baseball here, what do you envision for the future of the Blue Wahoos? I know COVID-19, we don't really see an end in sight. We don't know what the baseball season's going to be like, but it is outdoors, so maybe a little bit more promising.
I don't think we'll play minor league baseball. I think we might play some camps. We're also very active and excited about building a brand new ballpark in Beloit, Wisconsin. So we'll be real active doing those things with Diane Hendricks. But I think we'll do camps. We'll do wiffle ball. So we'll keep the thing moving all the time. You know, we had so many high school teams didn't have banquets. Tate High School here just recently did their banquet by taking batting practice out on the field, and they just loved it. So actually, this is opening up opportunities for us to even do when we do play baseball again, because we've had so many, excuse the language, home runs by doing non-baseball activities or non-professional baseball activities.
You have. I mean, at this point, you're at a grand slam, it seems like. I mean, applause to you for everything you're doing for the players, for the stadium, for the community, and all of your employees. We really appreciate it. I mean, I'm very much impressed with how you're handling it. It's nice to hear such a positive story in these times like this, especially a sports story. So thank you so much for joining us today, Quint.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Danielle. Thank you.
Coming up, guys, we're going to talk about how race impacts sports. So stick with us. Don't go anywhere.
Hey, welcome back to Main Street Living. Ladies, quick question. During COVID-19, are any of you getting into any of these podcasts since they're blowing up more now?
Are you, Danielle?
Yeah, of course. Yes. Yeah. I needed a little break from the Bill Simmons podcast after him and Ryan Rossello the other day. I don't know if anybody saw that. It was needed a break. So if you're looking for something besides, Bill Simmons or Joe Rogan, our very own Adam Finkelstein is back, and he has a podcast. It's called The Upside with Adam Finkelstein. It's going to be on Your View Sports on our YouTube channel or also on yourview.com. It's going to be all things basketball, but of course right now going to be taking a look at race relations. So this episode, he's joined by Dr. Scott Brooks, who's the director of research at the Global Sports Institute at Arizona State. So we can take a quick look at some of that hour-long interview right here.
We hear the word systemic racism or institutionalized racism, and I think people don't really understand the history behind that and what that really means.
Yeah, I'm going to start with making a quick plug for a fellow academic, and that's Ibram Kendi X. He has a book out now, How to Be an Anti-Racist. And what we're really talking about, and I love the way that he puts it, it's looking at race or understanding race as power first and foremost, right? So that we're in a country with all these different people of different races, ethnicities, of course, sex, sexuality, and the like. And in this context, there's power that's operating underneath, and it is largely invisible for most folks unless you feel it work against you. And so if we're talking about patriarchy, this is how women feel power working against them. We see it in the pay inequity. When you're looking at sports, you can see, there are WNBA players who are not going to make the money that these newly minted high school graduating seniors are going to make in the G League, right?
Your work has been very directly tied to basketball. And so it seems like there's a connection that you identify with as well, with these issues you study and the game of basketball.
Yeah, I'll tell you, we continue to look to sport to lead us, particularly in social issues. And I think that it is an accurate statement to say that sports really do help shed light on some of the issues, some of our social ills, that athletes are very powerful proponents, and that they can push the debates and the conversations forward. But I also think that we have relied too much and become soft in our thinking that sport actually does or gets us out of, doesn't replicate society. It actually does. And historically, so one of the things that I love to shed this light on with students. So I'm also a sociology professor. For 15 years, I've been teaching sociology of sport, of course, as well as just intro to sociology. And I ask my students about the dominance of Black men and Black women more as well, but the dominance of Blacks in basketball. And I often couch it in, the so-called dominance of Blacks in sport in general. And what you find is that while we're seen as being dominant and naturally athletically superior, when you look across college sports and at most big time schools, you're talking about 19 to 20 sports, right, within one university. Blacks are really only in 3 sports. And so this perception is pretty skewed, right? We're in basketball, we're in football, we're in track and field. Outside of that, you're not going to see us disproportionately represented. Now, they're the cash sports. And so we get, the disproportionate visibility. And those sports have gotten them before Blacks even became dominant. Football, for the Ivy Leagues, going back to the early 1900s, and the creation of the NCAA was to prevent ringers in the Ivy Leagues for football. Right. There were a few deaths and presidents said, hey, we can't have our boys dying out here. People were bringing military vets in and the like. Well, I ask about basketball and I say, you all may not realize this, but Blacks weren't even allowed to play in the NBA until 1950. Right. So this is not as long a time frame as people would imagine. Right. Now, before that, you had the Harlem Renaissance in the 1930s. And while they won championships and they would play against the original Celtics, right, the early Boston Celtics, they were given jackets that said Negro champions, even though they had beaten everybody else, right? And so I say, now let's look at what happens in 1950. Did black men just get good then? Well, no. The Harlem Renaissance were good in 1930. Basketball swept from Massachusetts, and Naismith brought it in through the YMCAs. You know, it sweeps down through the East Coast. So in places like Philadelphia, the Christian Street Y, you had blacks playing basketball in the late 1800s, 1890s, but we were not allowed to play. And that, again, gets us back to power.
What a moving interview there. And that was only a small section of that. In fact, you can go to yourview.com and see the interview in its entirety.
Absolutely. And especially when people are at home right now looking for homeschooling content, I mean, this is just like, this is a wealth of knowledge, obviously.
For sure.
Yeah, you know, and I know it's something that, like exactly what the gentleman was talking about. It's what's being seen even today, and it's almost like, hey, I know that you're in a bad situation where you live. Don't worry about education. Just play the sport that you're so good at, and I'll get you $1 million contract. So it's almost like we're being told, don't worry about your education, just make some money so you can get out of this situation. And so therein comes the power as well. So
yeah,
absolutely. Well, switching gears here, if you're like me and you are having some really bad quarantine hair days, never fear. If you have quarantine hair, we were talking about it next, so stay tuned.
Welcome back to Main Street Living. In some parts of the country, salons are opening up again, and people are super excited about this. And poor Danielle. And many of you might not know that Quincy is actually also a barber. And Quincy, you had a really cool experience to share.
Absolutely. To the delight of my most loyal customers, I returned back when Virginia opened up for phase 1. And so in addition to my TV and comedy career, I'm actually a licensed master barber here in Virginia. And so, they allowed me to capture some little footage of the experience. Look, y'all just check it out. It's pretty cool.
So going into the shop for the day, as you can see, here's the barber shop. It's called Salon Plaza. It's where a bunch of stylists and barbers who are independent contractors. We have a suite of our own, and we got to keep the doors closed so customers can't just walk in. Obviously, this is where I cut hair at. As you can see, the hallways are empty, barbershops are open, but they have to keep the doors closed, okay? Normally there will be people sitting out here in the hallways. There's no one can be waiting in the hallways, okay? Every customer has to come in with a mask. Gloves are optional. This is my spot, where Suite 106. All right, so this is where I do my thing here. I got to get ready to get to work because I got customers. So, all right. Yeah, I just need to go to the door and bring in the first customer. As you can see, we've got to open up the doors. Hey there, Tony. All right, so every customer has to have a mask, of course. But before the customer sits down, they must sanitize their hands and arms.
Hello, everybody. I am so happy to be back in this chair. Corona head.
So you had the corona, all that mess. Well, it's been a while, huh? What are you looking for today, man?
Yeah, I'm just gonna go with a fade that starts at the head and goes all the way. Man, I'm so glad to be back, man. I've been struggling, man. I'm about to feel like a new man.
Hey, y'all. My name is Charles. It's been 8 weeks. I'm going to get back into the shop with Quincy.
Yeah, so what are we doing?
Usual, just cut the whole thing off.
Well, it's already kind of wild. Yeah. It's been 8 weeks.
Yeah, it's been a while. As you see, I tried to cut it myself, but I didn't touch my head, though. I just did it.
Clearly.
Yeah. I wouldn't even try to attempt that. Man.
Do you know the type of cut that you want? Okay. So look, if I heard it correctly, about time you have been able to cut my hair in 8 weeks. Get started, bro. Yeah, so the most important thing is to talk to the customers during this time because, you know, coronavirus has affected everyone. So this was my time to reconnect with everyone and, you know, and give them what they needed. And then, of course, when the haircut is done, we get them all cleaned up. And then they must put their mask back on before we continue. Then I've got a lot to clean up, of course. So the most important thing, again, is sanitizing all my equipment to prepare for the next customer that comes in. Sanitation is very important. I use cleansing alcohol, amongst other things, and the chair must be cleaned.
Okay, are you ready?
Ooh, see, the best part about being a barber is you give these customers what they want. They have a certain cut that makes them smile. And at the end of the day, you give them what they want, they feel good, they look good, and the results are great.
It's been under COVID. It's been all over the place for a few weeks.
Yeah, well, it's good. So
thank you.
Look down. Yep.
It
Let it all
great.
Nice and smooth.
Yes.
It feels good to be back once again.
Wow. I haven't seen this face in like 4 months now, man. Looking good, looking good.
Oh yeah, I'm back. I'm back. It's official.
Good?
Yeah.
All right. All right, let's go put your mask back on.
Okay.
Hey, Charles, that's it, man.
All right, Quincy. Thank you, man. I really needed this. You did a great job.
If it weren't for this coronavirus, I would hug you, man, right now.
I don't want you to hug me either.
He's a man, good comic, good person all the way around.
Don't nobody care if I'm a comedian. All they want to know is, can I cut your hair?
Yes, thank you, Quincy. Thanks for being here.
Oh, Quincy, I bet
my God,
never felt so appreciated before.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Yeah, it had been obviously 8 weeks or so since I had seen them and they had seen me, and I'd had a lot of overhaul haircuts, but just to know that, you know, as a barber, that's what you do. Like, I can make people feel better by making them laugh while I'm performing on stage, or I can give you a good haircut and completely change how you feel about yourself. So
I'm just glad that you were able to fix the corona head. And I love that you were the hall monitor at the start. No people on the floor. No people on the floor. Please keep the hallway clear.
Yeah, I got yelled at by the little kid and everything.
Oh, yeah. I think that kid was cursing in baby language to you. I don't know what that was.
Absolutely.
But, you know, it makes me think, I think we've probably all said at some point during the quarantine, we're going crazy. And if you have thought that, you're not alone. In fact, this next video, I'm just going to let it speak for itself. You got to stick around to see this one. Don't go away.
Welcome back to Main Street Living. I don't know about you guys, but being stuck in the house all day, I'm ready for things to reopen. It's really starting to get to me. I know you guys have heard me say this. I'm really starting to hit the wall.
Yeah.
Where are you guys at?
Yeah, it can drive us a little crazy, I think. Right, Quincy?
Well, yeah, and then, of course, you need a little bit of laughter to kind of help you get through some of the crazy, right? In fact, this next video is pretty cool.
Is when you can't stop laughing. That's what happens.
Well, maybe we'll see on this next one then, right? Because it's very relatable regarding how people are going crazy during quarantine. In fact, Jacob Sturl, he's on another Eureview show called Tekken Out. So he just kind of look, just see it, and you'll get your opinion on it.
Hi, my name is Jacob Sturley. I have been quarantined for 39 days now. It's actually been that long since I've seen anybody. I don't get a lot of visitors because, well, the quarantine is why. It's because of the quarantine. I actually haven't had to go to the store at all. It's normal practice for me to prepare for a 3 to 6 month pandemic just like this. So, complete isolation. I haven't even gone outside. I actually boarded all the windows and taped off events just so nothing can seep in, you know. You can't be too safe. Haven't gone to work either during this time. not an essential employee. No, not like Karen. Yeah, not as essential as Karen. Oh yeah. Oh, Karen's great. I'd like to see her fry those cupcakes with my speed. I've seen The Office 27 times. This week, just me all alone. Just me. I've been learning more about myself and learning about this guy named Jake and who he is and what he's about and what he thinks about and what he does when he's alone and the things that he thinks. I've been trying out a lot of new recipes lately. Oh, that's just, sorry about that. I thought I cleaned up everything. That's just, it's paint. Red paint on the floor. I paint things. I'm a painter. You can see my work. It's just paint. This is my sword. It's genuine stainless steel. Only made from the fires of samurais in Japan. So sharp I could cut your face off. No, that would not be good. As they say in Japan, that would not be good, sensei. You guys want to check out the basement? I actually made a couple friends recently. May I? Hey, Josh. Hey, Karen. No, I'm just kidding. Those aren't my friends. You guys probably think he's crazy. I don't talk to dolls. It's just a toy. Not now, Josh. I've been doing a lot of drawing lately, and not the best. I'm still learning, but just doing a lot of animals. Nice little elephant there. Cute little guy, and cartoon giraffe. It's kind of fun. You're just hanging out. And this one, that one I saw in a dream. Just a lot of animals. Just animals. It's been good. It's been really good. It's been really good. It's been great. I'm doing very well.
I mean, it's very relatable. It's very relatable. I can't say I haven't had similar conversations with myself.
I love it. I love it. I was just cracking up throughout the whole thing. Talk about creepy. Creepy and funny at the same time.
Oh my gosh, the whole banana thing. I'm sorry, that was a good one. Wasted a completely good banana. Okay. Please, yeah, now I'm going crazy. You know what? You know, I'm not going crazy anymore. You know what? When we come back, we'll have a little bit more from Main Street Living. Just stick with us.
Welcome back to Main Street Living. Another great show, guys. A lot of good conversation today.
Yes, a lot of food for thought.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel the same way. And I do want to say real quick, when I started out in the beginning of the show, I want to make sure that if you have any questions or any concerns or anything that you may not feel comfortable with, please feel free to talk to me, ask me. I'm a huge fan of everybody being united.
Yeah, we had a great conversation last week, Quincy. I appreciated that you opened that up to us.
It's
not like you owe us, your experiences or your information or your knowledge, but that you're willing to share it is really great.
Yeah, because we're not walking in your shoes, per se. So it's nice to be able to ask these types of questions.
Absolutely. And I don't mind being accountable, just like you, Danielle, and your juice cleanse.
What's up?
What's up with this juice cleanse?
Yeah. Juice cleanses are terrible. I made it through day one. Felt pretty good. day 2, couldn't get my juices. I mean, things were shut down. Obviously, there was riots and things going on and protesting, which, you know, my juices are a small sacrifice if you think about it. So it ended with me missing 1 meal and eating 4 instead. So
man,
no problem. Well, thank you all for watching. We certainly appreciate you guys tuning in.
That's right. Another great show today. Make sure you join us on Mondays at 9 p.m. local time for new episodes. We'll see you next time as we take a stroll down Main Street.
Black Lives Matter.